Welcome back to the Five Guys podcast, where we unravel the blueprints of financial independence and empower you to take control of your destiny.
Hey there, I'm Chris, and as always, I'm joined with the world's greatest co-host, Dominic. And today we're flipping the script. It's not just about strategies and numbers, it's about the journey, the grit, the untold story that inspires us to reach for the stars.
Ooh, I love that. I love that. And speaking of untold stories, get ready for a roller coaster ride as we dive deep into the incredible journey of one of our own. This guy right here. The man who turned obstacles into stepping stones, the guru of growth mindset, our very own Chris. Chris didn't start out with a silver spoon, but he sure did craft his destiny. From challenges to triumph, his story is a beacon of hope, providing that with the growth mindset and the right mindset, anyone can become financially free. Mm-hmm. I love that. Cool.
So, buckle up, FI enthusiasts. In this episode isn't just about dollars and cents. It's about resilience, transformation, and the belief that your past does not define your future. This is the FI Guys, and today we're all about the journey, the cultivation, and the power of a growth mindset.
Alrighty, I love it.
You know, you saying that I'm the guru of growth, that was awkward.
You didn't like that?
Nope.
All right.
It's okay.
It's funny. I'm going to put it on a shirt.
Chris, guru of growth.
Guru of growth. I can't even say it.
Guru of goat.
Dude, I butchered it. I can't say it. Can't be said again.
Don't say it again.
Don't spam it in the comments, okay? Let's just put it that way.
So today we're going to be talking all about me. And this is a podcast that you asked for last time. And I was like, I don't know, because it's going to be awkward for me because I don't like talking that much about myself. Mm-hmm. So.
And that's how I knew we needed to do it. Because you're the guru of growth, so we got to run towards the awkwardness.
All right, so we're going to get into it. So normally on the pod, I try my best to, like, I'm always me, like I'm unequivocally me, but I do try to make it a bit more professional and not cuss as much as I normally do. Yes. You know, Dominic knows me off camera, and there's quite a few more F-bombs that get dropped. So this is already awkward for me to talk about myself, so I'm going to go ahead and kind of turn off that more professional side and just be unequivocally me. So if you have kids in the car, maybe pop some headphones in on this one. I'm not going to be cursing like a sailor, but I'm not going to hold back like I normally do on the podcast.
Yeah, or maybe you are a kid in a car. Just don't use this language at home, okay? Just be better.
Be better.
Be better. That's the mantra for today. So I'm excited to get into this one. I think we should start with your parents. You know, I mean, that's where you came from, yes?
Yeah, my mom and dad were the ones that birthed me. It was strange how that happened. But yeah, so my dad, he was first generation American. So he was born here. My grandmother and grandfather both immigrated here from Mexico. That would have been back in probably the 60s or 70s.
Dang.
Yeah, they immigrated here. And then my mom, she was actually born and raised in Hawaii.
Okay.
So you can kind of go whatever way you want to go with that, if she was an American citizen or not.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of anger, a lot of stuff with that.
Yeah.
My parents, my dad was, he grew up in San Diego. My mom grew up in Hawaii. My dad eventually left and joined the Marine Corps, and then my mom left her family and joined the Army. Oh. So my mom was stationed in Hawaii, where she was born and raised, and then my dad, as a young Marine, got shipped off to Hawaii. And then that's actually where he met my mom.
It's a good place to be shipped off to.
Oh yeah,
that's top tier.
Yeah, so he got shipped off there, and they met at a I think like a military dance, like a get together type thing. At the time, my mom actually outranked my dad, in terms of like Army to Marines. But I don't know, I guess they liked each other or whatever.
That's
so
adorable.
Within pretty quickly, as my understanding, they actually got married in Hawaii. And then after that, after getting married, my dad got stationed at Camp Pendleton. Mm-hmm. So Camp Pendleton is in Southern California. So I was very lucky in that, that's where we were born, was in San Diego for the most part, greater San Diego area, North County, San Diego to be more specific. Yes, we were born out there, and then instead of living on base, my dad wanted to give, his future kids, who I wasn't born yet at the time, or maybe, actually I was born, but my sister as well, after she was born, wanted to give us kind of a normal childhood, so we weren't going to live on base. Yeah. They purchased a house out in town. And then growing up, my dad, again, since he wanted to give us that normal childhood, every time that my dad, because in the Marine Corps, your dad's going to either get deployed or not deployed and all these things. So there was always a choice that he had. It was either you leave and you move with your family all over the place, and you go with your family for 2 years, and then your kids are never like in one place.
Yeah.
Or you leave and just the soldier would go, and then leave his family and go for a year. So that's the option my dad chose to do. good option because he wanted to give me and my sister as normal a life as we possibly could have. But what that meant for a lot of the times is that my dad was gone as a kid. In order for him to provide for us, he had to leave us. And this is kind of a reoccurring theme that you're going to hear throughout the story, and one of my big reasons that like I try not to have to make that decision.
I'm kind of curious. That is true. I know you've talked about that a lot, especially for your reason for Phi, is just being there for your family every day. I'm curious. We talk a lot about different crossroads on this channel and like different paths and whatnot. I wonder how much your life would have been different if you would have lived on base, or if you would have moved every 2 years, like with your parents.
Yeah, I think about a lot of things like that, like what could have been had something else changed, had my dad made a different decision. And unfortunately, we only know the way that the world did work, not the way that it could have worked. I have to imagine though that it probably wouldn't be. It probably would have taken me a lot longer to come to the realizations that I have, or who knows, maybe it would have been even sooner. But I do know, from growing up in a military family and like watching some of the other families that did grow up on base, it was very chaotic.
Interesting.
And like, if any of our listeners are from a military family, you grew up on base, I think you'll understand what I mean. And please, if you do, leave it in the comments. It's a lot of chaos on base to like live in the base housing for families.
Really?
From
Interesting.
from growing up and like we would go there all the time because like, a lot of my dad's Marine friends, they lived on base with their families, and you know, it's just it's its own little world.
It's a different lifestyle.
It's its own little world.
Really?
Yeah, like in San Diego, this own little like crazy world.
So with your dad gone, your mom was left to raise you with the help of your grandparents, I assume?
Yeah, so my mom was also in the Army. So she
So
was also...
She was also deployed.
No, she wasn't deploying as often. So after I was born, she went to reserve status. So she wasn't getting deployed as much. They could still have turned her on to active and then made her deploy.
Yeah.
But luckily that never happened. After my sister was born, she retired from the Army. But yes, during that time, I was basically being raised by my grandparents, like a lot of the time.
On your mother's side or father's side?
Father's side.
Father's side.
Yeah, they
the
were
ones
both
that immigrated from Mexico.
My grandmother and grandfather from Hawaii were still in Hawaii at that time.
Yeah, I'd probably pick Hawaii over California, respectfully. Yeah, interesting. Okay, so let's talk about school.
Yeah.
Let's get into the next phase. So, tiny baby Chris, he has grown up a little bit. He's heading into school.
Yeah, going into school, and this is where my struggles kind of really started, was when I hit school.
Yeah. For a lot of people as well.
Oh yeah, for a lot of people.
I mean, I don't know anybody who just
Yeah.
breezed through, but yeah, no.
Yeah. So childhood, like normal kid, you know, everything, like happy, fun time. Like I was like, oh, I figured life out. Like you just have fun with your friends, play with your sister. It's cool. Like this is it. This is life. I got it.
Life's good.
Life's good. This is so easy.
Yeah.
And then I hit school.
Yes.
Yeah, you know?
Yes.
And, you know, kindergarten was fine. Like, because again, there's no like reading, there's really no writing. It's really just like socialization time.
Basically, yeah.
And I was good at socialization. Like I could talk, I could do that stuff. But it wasn't until I hit like first grade and second grade that I started realizing that I was falling behind, and my teachers saw that I was falling behind a lot. And the biggest thing that I fell behind in was in reading. And you know, nowadays we know that there's something called dyslexia, and in the 90s we knew there was something called dyslexia.
Yeah.
But
It was also in the 90s.
it was also in the 90s. So not only did I have dyslexia, and do I still have dyslexia, but I was also farsighted, so I didn't see very well. And my parents didn't know that, and I didn't know that I didn't see well. So obviously, like I couldn't read because I couldn't see the words, and then I had dyslexia, so it was like double that. And then on top of that, I had a speech impediment. And I still have that speech impediment today. You'll notice I stutter and I kind of slur my S's.
I don't think anybody noticed it.
Really?
Honest to God, I don't think anybody noticed it.
Interesting. Okay. Well, either way, I had a pretty bad speech impediment. So for a really long time as a kid, and it wasn't anyone's direct fault, but I thought I had a broken brain because of the way that people talked about me.
That's horrible. That's really sad.
Yeah. So, I mean, like if you can't read, and then like imagine like, remember like we would all sit around and like do popcorn reading?
I hated that.
That was my fucking...
They should outlaw popcorn.
That was my nightmare.
That's literally torture.
Yeah, it was like me sitting there like so afraid that like eventually they're gonna get to me and I'm gonna look like the biggest idiot in the world because I could not read. And I was hands down the worst person in my class at reading because I couldn't see the words, and I had dyslexia, like and I stuttered, like everything was bad. So it was just like every day was complete torture. And you know, sadly, I really thought I had a broken brain. Like I thought I was stupid. And then, unfortunately, things kept on getting shown to me that I was stupid. So I actually talked to other kids. A lot of Mexican Americans who are first or second generation, usually after their grandparents or parents immigrated, they want to make, and their first kid's born here in America, they really want that kid, at least back then, to like be an American.
Yeah.
They did not
assimilate into the culture.
Yep, they did not teach their kids Spanish, anything like that. So I was like that. My dad can kind of understand Spanish because my grandparents spoke Spanish, but he does not speak it. Neither does any of his siblings. And then I didn't speak any Spanish either. But being in San Diego at the time, my guess is that schools got paid more for people who were in ESL, English as a second language, than did kids who were just normal. So oftentimes, and here was the kind of effed up part, they would take me out of my English speaking classes,
Yeah.
put me in Spanish speaking classes,
Oh, that's messed up.
just because of the color of my skin.
That's really rough.
Yeah. So I remember like this really fucked up story of like me being like in my English class, like doing fine, like whatever, first grader, take me out of my class, they put me in a Spanish class, and I don't understand a word anyone's saying. I already think that I'm stupid.
Yeah.
And now there's this person speaking to me in a language that I don't understand, just further showing me that I am stupid.
Yeah.
And then they like put this thing in front of us. There were like, there's like a picture of a dog and a picture of a cat, and it had like the little lines under it. So you're supposed to write like, you know,
Pero,
gato.
Yeah.
And I wrote cat, dog. And of course it didn't fit inside the amount of letters.
Yeah.
And then they gave me an F on that. And they're like, look how stupid this kid is. He wrote it all in English. So, and then I went home and I told my parents, and my parents would go and like fight the school to be like, he does not speak Spanish. Why do you guys keep on doing this?
Yeah.
And they'd be like, oh, we're sorry. They put me back in the English class, and then they come and they do it again. Like, and this was pretty common. And like, as a kid, like I thought I was already stupid.
Yeah.
Like, that was that was just bad.
That's messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, you know, at that point, that's where I was like really, really struggling. And I kept on seeing like, why even try? Because no matter how hard I try, I'm not getting any better. So I started trying to teach myself, like, instead of learning, instead of like figuring out that you can grow, you can get better, I started looking for ways to cheat. Like, how can I just like cheat and make it through the day?
Just so you can survive. Yeah.
One final story of like elementary school just kind of shows you. You remember fifth grade camp? Did you ever go to fifth grade camp?
Oh, dude, I have a story about that. So here in Arizona, we're ranked like 48th in education.
Oh, yeah.
It's horrible. It sucks.
Winning.
It blows. And every year, the fifth graders, I believe it was fifth grade, they would go to a camp for like 2 weeks or something, like a week, 2 weeks. It was like an outdoor camp. It's like a dream. Like I would love it. Like you go camping, marshmallow. It's just like the most like American summer you can ever imagine, right? Well, the year that my class was supposed to go, there were budget cuts.
Perfect.
Yeah, so that's fun. And, you know, we never got to go, unfortunately. And then, you know, somehow they found money next year. And next year went, and they got to go, and the year after, and my class was the only year that didn't get to
You
go.
didn't get to go.
Yeah. You want to go camping?
I would do camp. I love camping.
Yeah. I love camping, too.
But so for my fifth grade camp, and this kind of just reinforced, unfortunately, that like you are stupid. Like you just are. And I don't mean to say that these people are stupid. Sorry if I meant that. But on the fifth grade camp, you know, they would break everyone into groups.
Yes.
And, you know, you had like your little like boys and girls, and then each group of the boys were grouped into like 5, and you had your little house that had your like person, your sponsor or whatever, who would be like an older person to like watch you.
Yeah, like a chaperone.
Yeah. So my little fifth grade one was kids who were autistic, blind, and all this shit, and me.
Oh.
And then we had like 3 people watching us, because obviously like there's kids who are autistic, kids who are blind. And the way that these people saw me, that the teacher saw me, was like, Chris can't read very well. He can't speak very well. Clearly he is like mentally retarded.
God.
You know, not to say that people who are autistic or blind are mentally retarded. They're not, but like they do have special needs. So people thought of me as like, this guy needs special needs. And I remember just as a kid like thinking like, oh, okay, this is me. Like I have a broken brain.
Yeah.
And I 100% accepted that as my reality.
Yeah.
And that took a long time to get over that. We'll talk about that more.
Yeah. I mean, especially it's like when you're so young, you're just a sponge, you know, and to be programmed like that is just horrible.
Yeah.
But to break the programming is the strongest thing ever.
Oh, it was really bad. I remember even like there was a teacher, Miss Heggie, who was her name, in 5th grade. And
See you in the comments.
Yeah, see you in the comments, Heggie.
Come find us.
Miss Heggie was awesome though.
Oh, okay.
But I remember that like when I would we would do tests and stuff. I remember testing this as a kid. Like whenever I finished the test, the moment I put my pencil down, that she would like end the test for everyone else.
Me too.
Like I was the kid in the class that was like, I was the slowest one. So it was like, we're just gonna do it for that kid.
Yeah.
So that I remember like as a kid like figuring that out and being like, I can do whatever I want. Like and like, but also it was really sad to know that like she has to like slow everyone down for me.
Yeah.
So after that, that's when around the same time, 5th grade was when 9/11 happened. So at that point, like my dad had already been gone a lot, and now like it was about to gear up for the next
season.
the next go around, the next season. You know, my dad, I remember on 9/11, my mom woke me up from, because, you know, we lived on the West Coast and that
So
happened
it's
on
like
the
4
East Coast.
hours
Yeah.
ahead,
So my mom woke me up and she's like, you need to come and see this. And I was a 5th-year-old, fifth grade.
Really?
Yeah, 5th grade. I had no idea what the hell was going on.
That's crazy.
Woke me up. I went up to her room and like on the little little, remember those little TVs?
Yeah,
from the
yeah,
90s?
little square
little
TVs. Yeah.
So I'm looking at it and like I'm seeing these like planes crash into these towers. And like as a kid, I didn't understand what was happening. I thought it was a movie. I didn't understand because my dad was already at work, and of course he like called my mom. Was like, you need to watch this. Like,
Yeah.
so at first I remember we thought it was an accident, and then the second plane happened. And it was like, oh shit, this isn't
Not
an accident.
Yeah.
So at that point, like my dad's going to war, and he went quite a few times, got a Purple Heart, did amazing things in Iraq to protect people and do what he did. But that's when kind of money started coming into my life, and I started to see the power of money. I had previous, but at that point, before that, my dad had always been a saver. Like he was always, you know, as a Marine, you focus on the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
And he kind of took that in when it came to finances as well.
Yeah.
My mom was always a spender. And neither one of my parents grew up with any financial, like much financial resources, much financial education, just like every single one of us did.
Yeah.
So for the first time in my like life, I saw my dad like gone for extended periods of time and like not able to control the finances or like help out at all because he was in war.
Yeah.
So I saw my mom just trying to like do this the best that she could.
Yeah.
And like spend money. And I remember a few times my mom being like, oh wow, like money goes really fast. And I remember thinking as a kid, like, yeah, it's just math. Like if you have 10, you minus 10, you have 0.
Yeah.
And if you have 10, you minus 12, like now we have -2. But I got to see that like this kind of like generational sin of like overspending and then like feeling bad that you overspend and then spending more to feel better.
Yeah.
So I saw that a lot. And then when my dad came home, my dad would try to like rein in the spending, but it was always like this push and pull of like my mom trying to overspend or like just trying to live her life, my dad trying to like hold it back.
Yeah.
And then
keep the family alive.
Keep the family alive. And I remember there were like a lot of times of like, are we going to be able to pay the bills next month? Like, there was a lot of that.
Yeah.
Of like, will we be able to pay the bills?
Yeah.
And like my grandparents having to help us out and like other things like that. So a lot of that really did leave a impact on me financially of like what money means. So that's where like the security comes in for me.
Yeah.
And to this day, that's something I struggle with a lot. Because for me, like if I'm like even low in my savings account and I have a lot of money and there's no worry about it, I still get concerned. So that's why I say like money is more than dollars and cents. And like, it doesn't matter how much money you think you need in the bank, the moment you hit that amount, it's not going to be enough.
No.
So that's where you have to really work on your mindset.
Definitely.
So that was 9/11. During this time, like, let's go into kind of middle school time.
Okay.
So
Middle school any better?
no.
Much worse.
Middle school was fucked. Like,
Good Lord. You can't explain it any better than that.
it was bad. Okay, so I grew up in North County, San Diego.
Okay.
And I grew up like now it's gentrified and it's become a better area.
People hate that word.
Yes, because back in the day,
Yeah.
it was a good area and it was all that my parents could afford and it was in this great house, but like not in a good area.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the reason it was not in a good area is a lot of the people that were there were illegal immigrants. Like they came here illegally from Mexico and they were like all kind of
In one spot.
in this area.
I gotcha. Okay.
So when I went to middle school, that school, a lot of the kids there were either illegal themselves or their parents were illegal immigrants. So a lot of them didn't even speak English.
Interesting. That's a whole crazy experience in itself.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that.
Yeah, it was pretty wild and it was a very, very rough place. So I want to like, so this is kind of where I started to see like that the world is against us. So when people say like, oh, people like white people, the man, whoever it is, don't want us to succeed as like minorities. I get it because I saw that there where like that was just the common mentality of like we are victims, we are being held down, and we are angry for it.
Yeah.
And I saw that all the time. Like many of the kids didn't speak Spanish, and I didn't speak Spanish, so I didn't really fit in with them.
No.
There were like very few other kids that were like white, but like since I wasn't white, I didn't fit in with them. And I know like nowadays everyone looks and like, oh, but color doesn't matter. Well, guess what? In the 90s, it did. Like
It was, yeah.
It just did, and that's just the way life was. So yeah, I didn't really fit in with anybody. So I was like, really, like, kind of a loner.
So at this point, like the speech impediment, how is that? How far have you gotten with that? Like,
Okay, yeah.
the dyslexia and
So
stuff like that.
at that time, I still think I'm stupid. Like sixth grade, seventh grade, I still think I'm stupid.
Okay.
I'm still like in remedial classes, but I'm not in like remedial.
Like, yeah, levels to it.
Yeah, I'm like still like kind of in the remedial classes. But I remember like in sixth grade, like as you start getting periods and like not like female periods, but like you start getting like different. I'm sorry, like different places. Like if we're
Yes.
gonna go like learn from this teacher. So I had like normal teachers, and then I'd have like one remedial class. So I was getting better.
Yeah.
But there was now I'm starting to grow. Not, but so I still think I'm stupid.
Yeah.
But I'm starting to see like, oh, I can get better at this if I try. But I was still cheating a lot, like still just trying to survive, and like the trying to survive even got worse because now, mind you, like this 6th, 7th, 8th grade, that's 11, 12, and 13-year-olds.
Yeah.
A lot of these kids don't speak English. A lot of these kids are angry at the world. There are constant stabbings in my school.
Really?
Yeah, these are kids. 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds, and 13-year-olds stabbing each other.
Damn.
Like, so there's
Like proper stabbings, like dangerous stabbings.
yeah, like people going to the hospital, pretty common.
Just
Like this is the school I go into. And then like it's so bad that there are teachers getting attacked by students.
That's rough.
On the regular.
That's when you know it's bad.
Yeah. And it was so bad that in 6th or 7th grade, they canceled all school assemblies, all school like dances, all school events, because they had to hire private security to just walk around the campus.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I had friends at the time, but again, I never really fit into them. Like I didn't speak Spanish. Like I wasn't amongst them. So I could definitely see that we were going in different directions in life. But who knows what have happened had like things not changed differently. But yeah, I mean, it was like crazy time.
Sounds like a wild place.
Yeah, that school in North County eventually did get shut down.
Did it really?
Yeah, it was so bad. They shut the school down. They closed it for like 2 years, and then they reopened it as a new school. I'm not going to say the name or anything like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, they shut the school down entirely for like 2 years, and then they reopened it as a new school.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
That's wild.
It was it was pretty crazy stuff. My sister went to that too, so I'm sure she has some crazy stories of the stuff she saw there.
Definitely.
But yeah, it was, again, I had friends, but like I just never really like
Clicked with
We never really clicked because like I was like bullied by them because I was never one of them. So then we kind of move on to high school, and where my street lived, where my parents happened to live, all the kids that went to the middle school I went to one high school.
Yes.
I was one street away, so there were two high schools, both 4.4 miles away from my house. I could have gone to either one.
Yeah.
Due to serendipity, where my street was, anyone who was on the other side of the street of me, who like if I looked at their house, they went to the bad high school.
Yeah.
Everyone on my side of the street went to the other high school, so we were like 8 miles away in opposite directions.
The other high school is, I mean, it can't get any worse, I would hope.
Yeah, the other high school was like
Much better.
Yeah, so it was like the bad high school versus like the richer school high school.
Gotcha.
In California, it's very spotty and like you could have like a nice area next to a ghetto very quickly.
Yeah.
And that's how it was. So I was just by serendipity's chance lucky enough to get pulled from everyone I knew, all of my friends, everything, and got sent to a completely different school.
Yeah.
So the school that I would have gone to, had I like stuck with all my friends and like gone that way, they were known as like the gangbanger school and like stabbings, all that stuff. That's what they were known for. Yep. My high school was known for selling drugs. We were like the number one drug sales in all of North County. But from where to what I was used to, like stabbings and like,
it's an upgrade.
It was an upgrade. Like I was like, oh wow, like this is life. Like these are business people.
Oh my
and like I know it's fucked up, but like
really
this is what I saw.
Yeah.
So again, I lost all my friends, and then this is where I like say like you are the aggregate of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Because this is where like I in freshman year had like no friends. Everyone that I knew left, with the exception of like me and like 3 other kids.
Yeah.
Me and like 3 other kids went to this high school. Everyone else went to the other high school.
Interesting. That's how it was for my school too. It's like we were right in the middle between 2 high schools, and one was like, had just been built like 5 years ago, so it was brand new. Like it was like the awesome school, and the other one was like a known like bad school where like a lot of drug dealers were, and a lot of not the best and brightest, but I went to the nice school and it was a great experience.
Yeah, I went to the nice school too. Actually, the school, I'm not going to tell you the school's name that I went to, but you remember Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1?
Yes.
There's a school that he skates in, or that you skate inside
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
My school was the school that it was based off of.
Oh, okay. Well,
Because Tony Hawk is from Carlsbad, which is right next to. Yep. So he like grew up where I grew up.
little Easter egg.
Little Easter egg. Yep.
Little Easter egg. Like,
So it's kind of cool to like watch it because you can like see the colors. You're like, oh, weird.
like, I'm going to second period.
Yeah. But then also like, so I met new friends through sports. But then this is also where like academically I started doing well because like getting out of that chaos of like honestly like fearing for your life.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the same thing.
I'm not joking that like going to the bathroom, like people got stabbed going to the bathroom like pretty regularly, like getting changed like for PE, like people will get stabbed. Like I'm not saying like people are getting
Crazy.
stabbed every single day.
Yeah.
Like it's not like that bad, but like it happened enough to like really leave an imprint on me. And like teachers were getting attacked. Like I remember this. I remember kids coming to school because you remember a girl came to school with an umbrella with like a pointy thing to protect herself
Oh, okay.
from other people, and she stabbed somebody with an umbrella.
Oh,
Like it was wild.
do people get charged?
I don't know. These are kids. Like a lot of people like did. There was one kid I remember who shoved a pencil up a girl's back, like up her ass. Like,
Good lord.
yeah, he went to juvenile hall for that one.
Good lord. That's a bad place.
That happened in class. Like she was like going to sit down. He grabbed a sharpened pencil and like put it on her seat.
Right before she sat down.
Oh, it was so bad.
Yeah.
Like I saw some like really bad things there.
Yeah, we didn't have that in my school.
Yeah, lucky you.
We had bomb threats.
Oh yeah, we had that too.
Bomb threats, yeah.
Yeah, we had bomb threats too, a lot of that kind of stuff. But then, high school, again, so that's middle school.
Yeah.
I'd leave that stuff behind. High school, it starts getting a lot better. I get out of that chaos, like, and I started having teachers that like actually give a shit. Because unfortunately, the other bad part of like being in such a bad school is that teachers don't care either.
Yeah.
Because the teachers are also trying to survive.
That's true.
So they're just trying to make it through the day. So like, I'm not learning anything
Yeah.
from like 6th to 8th grade. It's just survive.
Yeah.
And like, how do you make it through life? Like how am I just going to survive each day? So then I go to high school, meet my friends, and this is where the story starts changing for me. That
Okay.
like, I'm not a victim. Like if I actually put in work and effort, I'm actually seeing me being able to progress because now I'm no longer in remedial classes.
Yeah.
I'm in normal classes and like, it's kind of crazy, but I'm actually keeping up with all the other kids.
Nice.
For like the first time in my life, like I see a light at the end of the tunnel. Like I understand that I have to work, but I'm seeing that I can progress. And that starts changing the script in my mind that I can be better, but I need to work extra hard, harder than the other kids because I have to overcome not having like, not being like, not learning
Yeah.
for the first like 8 years of life.
Yeah,
Not learning like good things. But I did learn a lot of street smarts. So, there's academics and there's street smarts. And in my group of friends, it was always like, if I had to be stuck somewhere with somebody,
Yeah.
do I want to be stuck with like these kids who were very, very academically smart, or do I want to be stuck with Chris? And everyone's like, I want to be with Chris. Like Chris will keep us alive at least
Yeah.
because he's seen enough to like know. So I can say like, while all of that was really tough, it really did set me up to have like a very good balance of both academics and street smarts
100%.
that I still keep today. So yeah, was in sports in high school, like everything went well, met like my lifelong friends who I'm still friends with to this day. So like it was very, very important to me. The few kids that I do know that went to the other school, they became gangbangers. Like that's what they are. So I could have been very much one of them. But academically, socially, sports-wise, like high school was for me the shit. Like high school was very, very fun for me. And then after that, after we graduated high school,
Did you play any sports in high school?
yeah,
Wrestling?
wrestling, football.
Wrestling, football. What did you play in football?
I wasn't very good at football, but when I did play, it was special teams, and then I played middle linebacker.
I could see that.
Yeah, and then defensive end. That's where I tore my ACL.
Oh, God. On the field?
Yep. Yeah, and my ACL.
In a game?
No, it was in practice. We were playing on something called the Patch. It was this old little like grass place where we like practiced, filled with potholes and stuff, and yeah, broke my knee.
Dude, in today's world, you would sue the school.
Well, that wasn't
Yeah.
a thing back then.
That's crazy, though.
Yep. So that's what I did in high school. Yeah, and then I was much better at wrestling than I was at football. But that was another big thing. Was actually the sports showed me that you can be better, especially in wrestling. But I never really applied myself as hard as I should have in wrestling because I still had to overcome that you can get better. But when someone would tell me you need to practice, you need to do better, I like shut down.
Yeah.
I needed it to come internally. I needed to self-impose my own discipline. If someone imposed it on me, I shut down.
Yeah.
And I still, like to this day, it still kind of happens. So after high school, go on to college. I couldn't afford to go straight to a 4-year. So I went to a junior college, which is definitely, like, honestly, we did a college
Best,
thing on it. Like,
best
it's
decision.
the way to go.
It's so good. I did the same thing.
Yeah.
I loved it. I met with some of my best friends there.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was awesome. So went to JC, and then after 2 years there, like did really, really well and pretty much aced every single class. At this point, like I'm learning that like, because not only do I know how to learn at this point, I also know how to test. I know how to do all these things because that's what I had to do to make it through. So I'm not cheating, but I know how to read a test now. I know how to look at 4 answers and be like, it's probably this one. And I can now narrow things down. So I teach my wife some of these like skills that I've learned, like how to survive without actually having to gain the knowledge. You can know the knowledge.
Yeah.
Or at least pass tests.
Yeah.
Because there's a skill.
System is a game.
Yeah, there's a skill to it. There's a game to it.
I had a teacher teach me that.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I taught myself how to do all that kind of stuff because that was the only way I could make it through. So, yeah, and then at that point, I remember I sat down, and this is the part where like I needed student financial aid, and they said like, "What major do you want?" And that's, I think, criminal to ask a 17-year-old, "What do you want to do for the rest of your life?"
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
And growing up, I didn't really talk about this, but mental health was something that was very constant struggle in my family, and not talked about, but like very big struggle in my family. So I see a lot of stuff when it comes to that. So I remember thinking like, oh, I want to be a therapist. Because I remember as a kid, I saw therapists and stuff like that. Like I want to do that because those people help me.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, cool, psychology. There you go, boom.
Bam.
Get out of my office, kid. So there I am, and now I'm a psychology major.
Yeah.
So at that point, I'm like doing all of my undergrad classes, doing all whatever I need to do, get basically like straight A's and B's for all of JC, and then I transfer to Cal State Long Beach with a major in psychology.
Isn't it interesting how like one can bump? Speaking from experience, I did not do that great in grade school and middle school. C student, basically B student. High school was like straight A's.
Yeah, me too.
I'm sorry, college.
Yeah.
College straight A's.
For college, for high school, it's straight B's.
Yeah.
A's and B's and C's. But most A's and B's. The only class I ever failed in high school was Spanish.
Yeah.
Like I just couldn't figure it out, and I think even to this day I have a mental block because the one thing that I think kept me safe or like kept me from like becoming a gangbanger is that I never
learned Spanish.
I never learned Spanish. Like I'd never fit in with them. I just couldn't.
Interesting. Would you ever want to try and learn Spanish?
I have tried many times, and I'm still committed to it.
Hell yeah, that's what
I
I'm
have
talking
not
about.
figured it out yet, but I'm still committed to
You're
it.
still committed. That's what I love to hear.
Yep.
That's what I love to hear.
But yeah, language has never been my strong suit.
Yeah. I think it's so interesting. Speaking on college for a second, I feel like obviously things happen for a reason. I remember this was when I was going down the personal finance route in college because again I was like I don't know what I want to do, but personal finance like I was already like really good at personal finance and like investing and stuff, and I'd already been investing for like years, and I remember the semester that broke me. Oh, I remember. And it's funny because like if I went back now, like it was 2 classes. One class I would destroy right now, microeconomics. I would destroy.
Macro or micro?
Micro.
Micro, okay.
Yeah, if I went back and took the micro class today, I'd be like I would destroy this and anybody standing in my path. It's no problem. And then it was like a high level math, and I was like, oh bro. The two of them, it was like back to back too. So it was like Tuesdays and Thursdays were just like hell. It was just a hellscape of like 4 hours of just like pain, and it was just like, oh, it broke me. It broke me so bad.
And then speaking of that, this time during with like money and stuff, like naturally from the point I was a child, I was always a saver. Like I remember being a kid and like picking up pennies and like just pennies, and like I would pick up anything I could and just try to hoard as much money as I could. Because again, I saw from my father that like money is security, and without money, like I remember like when my parents like couldn't pay bills, and like I would bring them my pennies of like, does this help? And like I remember my dad like being like really sad, like his kids like there with pennies, like like here I found these pennies.
That's adorable. That's sad.
It was sad, but like I did the best I could. But that really like has left a very lasting imprint on me. So like money is security. So during this time, like during college, during even high school, like I do not spend money.
No.
And like this still happens, but of course you have to spend money. So in college, like I'm doing really well. It's not till my 4th year that they allow you to finally do like internships. Okay. So I do an internship with a marriage and family therapist.
Okay.
And I realize I hate it.
Yeah.
Like worst thing is just people complaining about each other, not willing to like
Yeah.
overcome it.
Yeah.
And it's my 4th year. Like
Yeah.
I've already committed 4 years to this, and it's like, shit. Like
Yeah.
I don't have the money to restart. Like other kids, I saw them like changing their
Yeah,
majors and like going for 5, 6 years. I don't have the money. I only have this much time. So I graduate with my degree in psychology, and I did graduate magna cum laude. So I graduated with highest honors. Like I did really, really well in college. And then after that, it was like, well, what am I going to do with my life?
Yeah.
And I knew nothing about money. I saw that my dad at that point had been, he retired from the Marine Corps, retired with disability. He retired injured from the war, but he retired and he was still like quite young. All other people's parents I saw were still working.
How young?
My dad was probably in his late 40s when he retired.
That's really young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he did 22 or 23 years in the Marine Corps as enlisted.
Yeah.
And they retired with full benefits and disability.
Yeah.
And getting him disability was like a real.
That was like a gift from God.
It was so tough to get though.
Yeah.
Back then.
Yeah.
Because nowadays they hand out disability pretty easily, but back then they did not. Like you had to fight to get like.
And he has a Purple Heart.
Yeah, he's a Purple Heart. Like he's got some like pretty serious injuries, and like they were still like, no, you're fine. So I remember asking my dad, like, Dad, like, how did you retire? Like, and how does this money stuff work? Like, how am I ever going to be able to retire and do all this stuff? And he's like, I don't know. I guess you have to find a job with a pension. And at the time, the only job that had a pension
Was government jobs.
was government jobs. And I was like, well, I guess my mom was Army, my dad was Marine. Like, I'm going to go into the military, go in Department of Defense. And if you're going to do it, might as well do it big. Like, I'm going Marines, like with my dad.
At what age was this?
Probably 20 or 21. I just graduated college. And I graduated young too.
Okay. But you've spent 4 years at college? So 4 years at college. Okay.
And I think I was 21, maybe, at 21.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, that's one other thing is that when I started school, one of the things that also held me back, you know how I was on that cusp of, I probably should have started a year later.
Okay.
Because my birthday is late August.
Yeah.
So I was on that cusp of like, you could start now a year earlier. My mom needed me to like go so she could work. Or you could start a year later and be like the older kid in the class. I started a year younger.
I started a year later.
Yep. Yeah. And as a kid, like a year of like brain development is huge. So I was already the youngest. Like I graduated as the second youngest kid in my high school class. And I remember like being in college and like being in a course where they're like, you can't even be in this course unless you're 18. And I was 17. And I was like, oh, I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was always the youngest kid. So I graduated at 21. And I think I graduated in 3.5 years from college rather than 4. Because I was doing extra classes. I was taking like 20 units a month, or like 20 units a semester.
Okay. Okay. So the Marines.
Yep, some Marines.
You were enlisting.
No, I was gonna go officer. I wasn't gonna enlist. My dad said like, don't enlist. He wanted better for me. Like you're gonna go officer candidate school. So I meet with an OSA, which is an officer selection officer, started studying for an ASVAB, score amazing on an ASVAB. Working my ass off every day for the PFT, have basically like a 299 PFT, which is near perfect. The only thing I couldn't get
What's
perfect.
a PFT?
A physical fitness test.
Okay.
It's a 20, back at the time, it's 20 pull-ups, 100 sit-ups, 3-mile run in 18 minutes would have been a perfect score.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but I could never get the 3-mile run in 18 minutes. That's 3 consecutive 6-minute miles.
That's really tough.
Yeah, so I think the fastest I ever got was like 18 minutes and like 9 seconds.
Fastest mile I've ever done is 8 minutes, like 40 seconds.
Yeah.
It's not
So
crazy.
for like a guy my size, like my body type, to get down to running sub 6-minute miles consistently, like I was training every single day for this.
Yeah.
Working every single day for this. During this time too, in order like to bolster my stuff, I also went back to get another degree in management. And specifically, I got it in finance because I had, again, no understanding of finance. But I wanted to learn more about finance, kind of like look into the belly of the beast.
Yeah.
So I got another degree, an additional associates in financial management.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, and then during this time too, I also worked as a lifeguard at your favorite Legoland water park.
Yes.
And it was just like a quick job to take extra money because I knew it wouldn't take a lot of my time. And while I was kind of doing the Marine Corps stuff and like training and everything,
And going to school.
Yeah. You know, and training and studying and doing all these things. And while I was there, like I just joined as like a normal lifeguard. I moved up super quickly within like, after I joined, like 3 months later I got a promotion, or like not even 3 months. A few months later I got a promotion. A few months later I got another promotion. A few months later I got another promotion. A few months later I was operations manager at the park. And like people were pissed. They're like, who the hell is this guy who came out of nowhere and now is operations manager of the entire park?
Yeah. You're like next step CEO.
Yeah.
All of Lego.
And I was only there for like a year and a half.
Yeah.
And like from starting at like the bottom
It's pretty
to
impressive.
a year and a half, I was operations manager. But that's where I met my wife, Bryn.
Yeah, there
She
we
was
go.
actually an employee of mine.
There you go. It's funny that how that works is like because your mom was outranked your dad, and you were kind of like her boss
Yep.
in a sense.
Yep.
That's
And then,
really interesting.
Yeah, so we had to kind of go through all that, like with HR, and like, you can't be a part of his thing, and she had to like transfer out and like all this other stuff. So, and we went through all that, and then I was still like, I'm going to go in the Marines. This was happening, and then this was in 2013, and at that time, that is when budget cuts hit the military like super hard. So after all the work I put in the Marine Corps, my active duty contract
Was slashed.
just disappeared like that.
Oh, it disappeared completely.
I got a phone call, or I had a conversation of like, you're good to go. Here we are. Got called in. Hey, that activity contract? Yeah, it's gone. Like all the work you put in, everything, gone.
Interesting.
So they offered me, you can go either reserve, and we'll have that spot left, but there are no more active duty contracts.
Reserve's not bad though, right? Your mom did reserve for a bit.
For a little while, but she left. And so I asked my dad, like, what do I do? And my dad's like, don't do that. My dad knew. He's like, there's no reason you should go through OCS, go through all this stuff for a part-time job.
True.
So, I decided to do it, and I terminated my contract at that point. My contract was already terminated. But there was another thing of like, I worked so hard, and due to circumstances outside of me, it got stolen from me. And like, again, I am the victim. Like, this is fucked. I remember like everything kind of like went to shit at that point. Like, I really started like hating life again.
Yeah.
Because I worked so hard and it was taken away.
Yeah, 100%.
But my wife, or Bryn at the time, she had got accepted to UC Davis for her undergraduate in animal science.
Awesome.
So she asked me like, hey, do you want to move to Sacramento with me and like leave San Diego? And at the time I was like, my life had just been thrown into chaos because the Marine Corps stuff didn't work out and like all this stuff. And I was like, yeah, let's do it.
That's beautiful.
So while one door closed, another door opened.
I love that.
So
I love that.
I focused on that. So I ended up moving to Sacramento. And at that time, I look at my resume and I see I have a lot of management experience, a lot of leadership experience. So I did stuff with the Marine Corps, did stuff like here and there, but I have like zero sales experience. So I'm thinking to myself, like, I guess I need to get sales experience in order to like kind of round this up. So I went into a sales role and I, again, start doing really, really well in sales. And I'm not going to tell you the company or anything like that, but again, I'm doing good and I'm growing and I'm moving up in the company. And at this time, like I'm making better money than I've ever made in my life.
Good money. Like you don't have to worry about money.
Nope.
Oh.
And for the first time in my life, I actually have money and I am spending money so fast because I never had money, so I never understood it. Now I'm getting money and I'm just like, the moment money's coming in, I'm on Amazon, I'm on Groupon, I'm on whatever, and I'm spending it. And I have no idea where my money's going.
It's like when there's cake in the fridge.
I know.
And cake in the fridge is like a rarity. I'm going to destroy that cake. The cake's gone quick. Yeah.
The only saving grace is at some point, maybe Dave Ramsey, maybe somebody had permeated my brain and said like, you need to save at least 10% of your income. So when the 401k thing came, I just remember putting 10%, and I remember there was an election to like every year increase it, and I selected that
every year.
Every year it increased it by 1%. So while I was spending all my money, there was still money that I didn't even know. I didn't know what a 401k is. I had no idea. I thought it was just black magic. Black magic happening in the background. But that money was growing for me.
Definitely.
Even though I wasn't doing an emergency fund, nothing like that, no crisis fund, nothing like I teach nowadays. I was spending everything the moment it came in. So I continued to do really well at my job, but it never really lit me up, and I really wanted to serve people. So during that time, being in Sacramento, that's right next to the California Highway Patrol officer place. So I decided, like, what, Marine Corps didn't work out. I want to be CHP. I want to be a cop. So I go into backgrounds, and I'm doing everything the right way. And, I go through like a year of backgrounds and we're about ready to like go to academy. I do the tests, I do the physical stuff, all that stuff. Physical stuff compared to the Marine Corps was like simple.
Yeah.
Very, very easy. Mentally, it was a lot harder than the Marine Corps was. Marine Corps, like, do you know 4 plus 4? Good. All right. Good. Good. You eat crayons? Good.
Yes.
But it's a lot harder there. And then probably 2 months before going to the academy for CHP, I'm driving from work back home.
Oh, I know this story.
And I exit off of my little place, and a car from behind me on the freeway going at like 60 miles an hour comes into my lane when I'm at a dead stop and smashes my car. Completely smashes the car and ends up severing a part of my back.
You broke your back.
So there it is. Now my CHP dreams, like I was like, oh, don't worry, like, I'm gonna rehab it, it'll be fine. I couldn't rehab it. Like,
And I'm curious, at that point, when you say CHP dream, was it really a dream or was it just a job?
no, the job I had, my sales job, was a job. Like being a highway patrol officer, like at this point, I've been like doing all this stuff for like a year and a half, 2 years.
Really?
Of like thinking about it, like really
So
reflecting
you
on
were
it.
really invested.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And then there it was.
Yeah.
Car crash, broke my back, can't go anymore.
Damn.
And so now I'm trying to figure out, like, can I get a spinal surgery real quick? Like, can I do all these, like, can I do all these things? And I remember like sitting there like with this surgeon, and I'm like, no, I'm supposed to be a CHP officer. Like, I'm supposed to do all this stuff. And the officer's like, life change. No, not the officer.
The doctor.
The doctor's like, life changes sometimes, son.
Yeah.
I remember just sitting in that office being like, like
Now you got to start over again.
again, it was stolen from me. I'm a victim again.
Yeah.
And again, it's out of my control.
Life teaching you that lesson
Life
again.
teaching me this lesson again of like things are out of control. Like why even try? And like everything comes flooding back to me from when I'm a kid of like why try?
Yeah.
Like you're a victim. People don't want you to succeed.
Yeah. The world's against you.
The world's against me.
Yeah.
Yep. And then I'm still working my 9 to 5, or it's not even 9 to 5. Like I'm still working the sales job, still doing really well there. They didn't know anything about the CHP stuff. Only one person did.
Okay.
I had no idea that I was going to quit and do all this stuff. So like while I'm working 50 hours a week, I'm also doing stuff for the CHP.
And how long were you out on your back?
Like I was back to work because it wasn't like a physical job within a week.
Interesting.
But like in terms of like spinal issues, I still have them to this day.
Yeah, because you said it severed some of the stuff, some of like the cords and stuff.
Yeah, the disc is no longer like it's not
Aligned.
attached anymore. It's not attached by bone. It's attached by muscle and the disc it sits on.
Okay.
Yeah. So at this time, like, and now I fucking hate life.
Yeah.
I really hate
Yeah.
life. At this point, I did not like my sales job. It made good money, but I hated it.
Yep.
It did not light me up.
You're in pain.
I'm in pain. I wanted to be a CHP officer.
Dreams crush.
Dreams crushed.
Yep.
So I guess I'm like, all right, I guess I have to go harder into the sales thing because at least I'm making money. So I'm making money, but dude,
Sold suck.
people that knew me back then
Yeah.
probably like and see me now are like two completely different people. Like I hated life.
I'm curious because I know for me, you can tell rather easily how I'm doing. You can just see it on my face. Like, were you just wearing your attitude on your face?
Yeah.
Or, yeah.
Yeah. I'm very stoic already. Like I don't
Yeah.
show a lot of emotion,
Yeah.
but like I was very quick to like blow up. Like, and I was just like angry all the time.
Yeah.
I feel bad for my wife. Like, thank God that she stayed with me.
So you were married at that time?
No, sorry. She was my fiance.
Gotcha.
We were dating. We dated
Dating.
for like a decade before we got married.
Did you really?
Yeah, because we wanted her to get done with school and like
I get
all this
that.
stuff.
I get that.
Because she was still in school during this time too. So like my money was also like trying to take care of like both of us too. And she had some money from a trust from her parents, which was
nice.
great,
Yeah.
or from her grandparents. But yeah, during this time, like I hate life. I hate my job, but like I don't see a way out.
Yeah.
Like I've already
There's
dedicated.
no light at the end of the tunnel.
I've already dedicated so much time to this. Like I don't see a way out. And then, due to just pure dumb luck, I'm listening to a podcast and I hear someone mention the FIRE movement, and I was like, what does that mean? What's FIRE?
Yeah.
And I remember them talking about finances and like, oh, you can actually control your tax rate. You can do all these things. And I'm like, wait, what? So I Google FIRE, and of course, like fire comes up, and I'm like, just like, like flames. And I'm like, shit, what was that thing? And I didn't know, and then like, but it sparked something in me of like, there's a way out of this. Like I can get out of this like drudgery. I was working 50 hours a week in this job.
That's a lot of hours.
Yeah, 50 hours a week, and like not.
Especially something it's like you hate.
Yeah, I hated it.
It'd be different if it'd be like 50 hours at like jujitsu.
Nope,
Like you love jujitsu.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, yeah.
Yep. So I grinded like every single day, and then eventually I finally figured out like what FIRE was. It was financial independence, retire early, and like that was my dream. Like I want to retire. Like I don't want to do this, and I was running away from this job.
Yep.
So for nearly a decade, I dedicated myself to both the job that I hated and towards escaping the job that I hated.
Interesting.
Every single day was me studying and like learning anything I could about finance. I was reading books, I was listening to podcasts, I was doing courses. I paid like over $10,000 at one point to do a like financial course.
Yeah.
Like I did a lot of different things. So for like a decade, I am grinding, I am learning, I am saving money. Like thankfully, I figured out like, oh hey, that old 401k that I had, what happened to that? That had grown to like something huge. I'm like, oh my goodness, like look at all this, like look at the power
Yeah.
that like just forgetting about it does. And then, you know, I'm studying Warren Buffett, I'm studying Charlie Munger, I'm investing, I'm saving, I'm finally like get control of all this stuff.
Yeah.
And at this point, this is when I start really working on my mindset.
Yes.
Of like I'm working, and I start waking up at 4 a.m. I'm studying Buddhism, I'm studying Stoicism, and I'm starting to see the interconnected nature of all this stuff. So about after a decade of doing that, I finally come to the realization that like I have not enough money to retire, but like I'm at a point that like I can stop. Like the point of like having FU money
Yeah.
is to eventually be able to say FU and like
Yeah.
leave your job. So finally I was like, I'm done. Like I'm done with this sales job. I'm done doing all this crap. I'm gonna move into finance because I've seen the power that and I see like how much it changed my life,
Yeah.
taking control of my money.
Yeah.
So at that point, I gave up my job. I had a cushy desk, I had a cushy office with a desk, a company car, benefits. I hadn't paid for gas in like 3 years. Like my company paid for all of that. They gave me a car, like everything. My truck just sat in my garage.
Yeah.
And like I had a company, I had everything. I gave all that up and moved into finance. And I took it to motion because I wanted to be able to help people the same way that finance helped me, and I wanted people to not have to go through what I was going through. And also, I couldn't continue doing the job I was doing.
It was breaking you
Every day.
every day.
Finally, like I left that job, and like stuff started looking up, and like I started becoming happier, and like I started kind of like living within my dharma. In Japanese, there is a word. It's called ichiban. No, ichiban. I think it's ichiban. But it's like living in your light, or like doing the thing that like you're called to do. So finally, like I'm in finance, I get my licenses, I'm doing really well at this job. I'm learning, I'm doing great friends. You know, unfortunately, like the job that I worked at wasn't the place for me. It was like a 45-minute drive. It was in Scottsdale.
Oh, that's
So I
far.
was driving out there for like 2 years.
Yeah.
And then during that same time, my wife and I finally got married too. So my wife had graduated from her vet school.
That's awesome.
That's the reason we moved from Sacramento to Arizona too, is because she graduated from Davis and then got accepted to her graduate school for her doctoral program out here.
Oh, cool.
So that happened too, and during that time.
Very cool.
So we got married. You know, I finally have like enough money to kind of like call myself coast-fi, where like I never have to save another dollar again, and like I can retire.
Yeah.
So at this time, like I'm doing really well at my job, but it's not lighting me up as much. So I decided like what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a year off of work and do like nothing.
Interesting.
So I'm
How
gonna
did you sell that to your wife?
things at work did not go well at my other job.
Okay.
It was not completely voluntary. It was like a
Okay.
partially voluntary, involuntary, like you need to go.
Gotcha.
You know, I was part of it. They were part of it. It was just wasn't great. So I ended up leaving there, and then after that, within like a month or two of like I'm finally retired, I don't have to work anymore.
Yeah.
Depression, like
Because you had no purpose.
I had no purpose anymore in life, and then it was at that point that I was like, I need to figure something out. And I already struggled a lot with like anxiety. I struggled a lot with all these issues. Oh, one thing I didn't mention: me and my wife, we got married in Hawaii. We got married 30 miles away from my parents got married.
I love that.
Yeah, and we were able to like pay, like, because I was making good money, we had money. We were able to pay for the wedding like straight up in cash. Don't go into debt for wedding. That's my recommendation.
Yeah, it's not great.
And like do it in a destination that you're already there for your honeymoon. Like it would.
That is so smart.
Yeah, we were already there.
So you just honeymooned in Hawaii.
Yeah, we went to different islands, but yeah, we were already there. So at that point, like I'm kind of depressed. I'm like dealing with all this crap, and I decide, let's start a fucking company.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yep.
So yeah, it was really tough because like I told you before, like that was never anything I'd ever seen. You know, people that started a company they were dreamers. Like they were.
Yeah, I mean, you see, it's like Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
You know, it's all like Bill Gates. Like those are people who start companies.
They're dreamers. Like, but I always thought like I could probably do it. And like I had enough, and I'd learned enough at this point. Like I had been grinding for a long time, and like realizing that I'm smarter than I thought I was for a really long time. And I realized like I can take control of my own destiny. So I start Mons on Wealth, and I start my own financial firm because I really want to teach people and like show people so they don't have to go through the same struggles that I did. Because like I've kind of already conveyed to you, I've seen a lot of things in my life when it comes to finances, and like also I know the power of coming from a strong financial situation, what that can do for you in life. So I want to be able to spread that to as many people as I possibly can.
Yeah.
So obviously, like, you know, starting a business, it's such a grind.
It's scary too.
It was terrifying.
Yeah.
Like, I knew nothing. I didn't know how to start an LLC. I didn't know about insurance. Didn't know about any of that stuff. I didn't know how to create a website. Nothing. And I had to do all of that by myself
Yep.
every day.
Yep.
And then, like, there's different stages of the business, different people I met, different coaches I had, you know, different business partners that I had, some good business partners, some god awful business partners. And luckily you and I met through like one of my god awful business partners.
Yeah.
That I don't work with
We don't
anymore.
talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then like even like coaches or like financial coaches were supposed to help me to get better. And they were like leading me astray. And, you know, a lot of just stuff that I had to learn myself.
Yeah.
And just constantly like stick to the process of getting better, 1% better every single day.
100%.
But also remembering like you need to take control of your life. And I at this point I would say it all the time, like I am not a victim. Like, everything that I have overcome shows me that I'm not a victim. I have to take control of my life. Things might happen to me that are out of my control, but due to my studying like Stoicism and Buddhism, you can't control what happens, but you can control the way you respond to it.
100%.
So now I'm responding a lot better. Like my relationship with my wife's better. Everything's good because like I'm doing better. I still struggle to this day with like anxiety and all these other things.
We all do.
But everything's getting a lot better. And that's actually the big reason that we started the pod is a lot of my clients, they're retired or they have money. And that's like the reason that I can work with them is because they have money. But I don't think it's fair because I needed somebody. The person that I needed,
Didn't exist.
I can't work with.
No.
Because it financially doesn't make sense. And I'm still trying to figure out a way that Monzon Wealth can affect those people and like help them. That makes sense for me monetarily and like the amount of time it's going to take for me to help them. But the pod is the best way that I could have think of that we could be able to both get the message out there, like show people that you can grow, you can get better, and it's not a very big time suck for me. And it's honestly like so fun to be able to sit here with you, sit here with our audience. Like, thank you, friend, for joining us every day, every week. And that's pretty much where we are now. You know, Monzon Wealth is doing really, really well. You know, I have quite a few clients and I appreciate every single one of them. And basically at this time, like between me and my wife, we have enough money to still travel the world. Like we're going to go to like fucking 6 different places this year, like Japan, Bora Bora, St. Thomas, Tulum,
Mexico next week.
Yeah, Mexico again next week.
Yep.
And we're going all over the place. And like, I'm not fine that I never have to work again a day in my life, but I am fine in that, or financial independence or financial freedom, in that I never have to do things just for money. Money, it gets to be the afterthought of rather doing things that are important to me.
Yeah.
And that's the reason I became a jiu-jitsu coach and did all these things. I'm doing things that light me up.
Yeah.
And luckily, a lot of things that light me up happen to do around finance. So sometimes my clients will be like, Chris, aren't you like doing too much? Like you're doing this podcast, you're doing all these things. Like, yeah, but all of it's around finance. So like everything that I'm doing feeds into the other thing. The only thing that doesn't is like jiu-jitsu, but without like that physical outlet, like jiu-jitsu really got me through some very deep moments of like depression because that was the one time I could escape that depression. Was to go there and like fight and like get away from all of it.
Leave the world behind.
Leave the world behind.
It's a mini escape.
It was, and I would leave my phone. I still leave my phone in my car. I don't bring it into the gym. And like I would just be there and work out. So that's the reason I became a coach, is to spread something that was life-saving to me and like be able to teach it to other people.
That's awesome.
And here we are today.
Here we are today. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you, man.
Thanks, dude. That was
proud of you.
That was weird to do that or to give that to tell you my story, but
you know,
that's pretty much it. I mean, I definitely left a lot of pieces out, but like those are the.
I think that's awesome because I think a lot of times we look at people at where they are, and you don't know what it took to get where we are. You know, for some it might be easier, for some it might be harder, and to really look at the struggle, it's beautiful to see the man that, you know, you've built because of the struggle.
Yeah, a lot of it, like there was a lot of mental head trash, and I have to say, like, thank God to podcasts and audiobooks, because like reading to this day still is not my thing. Like I can read, like a lot of what we do on the intro is reading, so you can tell that I can read, but like it's still a struggle for me. But like, thank God for audiobooks, thank God for podcasts, thank God for just being able to introduce myself to new ideas every single day by other people who are willing to just put information out. That was another reason I wanted to start the pod, is because I wanted to join those like people that helped me so much.
And help others.
And help others, and just every day challenge myself to grow a little bit more. and just get a little bit better, 1% better every day, like always be that lifelong student. I feel like that's my superpower now, is that I am willing to look at every single idea and just try to take it as much as I can. And if I realize that one of my ideas is wrong, I'm okay with that. And we just try to grow on the next idea.
Definitely. I love that. Yeah, that's beautiful. That's awesome.
Thanks, man. So I say we get to the action step of the week.
Definitely.
So this week's action step is reflect on your own past, on your own story, and think about what ideas about money were formed by watching others. Like, what did your parents teach you about money? What did your friends teach you about money? What did the environment / society teach you about money? And then how are those thoughts affecting you today?
Yeah.
I kind of talked about how money affected me, and like seeing people struggle with money. Money became a sense of security, and I thought if I had enough money, I'd be good. And when I finally reached that money, that amount, I was like, oh, that's not the right amount. And I didn't realize that it doesn't matter what you do; it's a mindset thing.
Yeah.
And then ask yourself, the beliefs that were formed around money for you, are those the beliefs you want to have today? Are they still the good beliefs that you want, or can we abandon those beliefs and update them to a better belief around money? Because I can tell you, from someone who struggled with money, I believe that people who had money were bad.
Yeah.
Like I remember thinking that for the longest time.
A lot of people think that still.
And it wasn't until I realized that people who have money are not bad people. They honestly created a service that helps people, that I was finally able to show myself that I am deserving of having money too. And that you can do it in an ethical way, and help others and help yourself. That was one of the biggest things that I saw. I've been an advisor in a bunch of different modalities, and I've seen good advisors, I've seen bad advisors, and unfortunately, we've talked about what a fiduciary is versus non-fiduciary.
Yep.
I've seen people call themselves financial advisors who are really just product salesmen, who are really leading people astray.
Yep.
So luckily, I've never had to make that decision of doing the wrong thing for the wrong reason. I've always really pushed myself. That's the reason I named my company Mons on Wealth, and put my family crest in the logo. Is it's me, and I know that there's nothing I'm ever going to do that's going to tarnish my own name, my family name, all these things. Because honestly, at the end of the day, the most important thing is how I feel about myself when I'm by myself, and I never want to let money get in the way of that.
Yeah.
I never want money to get in the way of that for any of our listeners or anyone else.
100%.
So I say we close out, and then on Friday we can maybe do a Q&A.
I'm down.
All right,
I'm
cool.
down for that. So with that wrapping up, an incredible episode from the Fi Guys. We hope you enjoyed Chris's story, and I hope it ignited a spark in you, reminding you that your journey is uniquely yours, and your destination is entirely within your reach.
And remember, financial independence isn't just a destination. It's a journey of self-discovery, of growth, and an unwavering belief that you have the power to shape your destiny.
And if you enjoyed today's podcast, make sure to give us a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. And, rate us if you are rating people on Spotify and whatnot. But your support means the world to us. And we hope to continue this financial revolution.
Yeah. And as you venture forth on the path to financial independence, always remember, it's not about where you start. It's about the direction that you choose to go. Keep the growth mindset alive, and the possibilities are honestly limitless. So until next time, this is the Fi Guys signing off. Stay financially savvy, stay inspired, and always keep chasing your dreams. And always remember the fee for the show.
Exactly. You gotta tell a friend.
You gotta tell a friend.
Tell a friend. Drop the link, send a link to someone new. Maybe they'll learn something too.
Yeah, let someone know. This was a really hard podcast for me, so I really stepped out of my comfort zone to do this one for you guys.
Yep.
So until Friday, I hope you guys have a great day, and
we'll see you in the next one.
Love you.
Peace.
Bye.
This video podcast is sponsored by Mons on Wealth. The content in this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. We do not endorse specific products or services. Past performance does not guarantee future results. The opinions expressed are those of the hosts and guests, not the podcast sponsor.
It is crucial to consult with a qualified financial advisor or professional who can provide advice tailored to your specific needs before making any financial decisions, investments, or taking any other actions. If you are seeking specified help, you can reach out to Chris at monsonwealth.com.